Alrighty, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Maybe it's good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. I'm here from Tampa. This is the CJ Curry Show. Appreciate everybody joining. This show is presented by PrizePicks. If you don't play on PrizePicks yet, it's a great time to get signed up. First time depositors, you get a 100% instant deposit match when you use promo code Curry. That's right. Make your first deposit, use code Curry. You'll get every single dollar all the way up to $100 matched instantly. Link down in the description below if you're ready to get started with PrizePicks. Shout out to everybody out there who's joining me today. It's Friday, TGIF, and it's also Veterans Day. So if there are any veterans that are out there watching, I'd like to say thank you for your service and happy Veterans Day to you. Now, PrizePicks is doing something cool. They're doing a risk-free entry, I believe. You can claim that over on PrizePicks. So if you're a veteran, claim your risk-free entry over on PrizePicks. Shout out to PrizePicks for doing something cool for our vets out there. Keeping America free. Gotta love that. And on top of that, I'm giving away some free entries. Well, you know I give away one free entry every time we go live and do this show, right? All you have to do is make sure that you're a subscriber. Make sure you've liked today's video and make sure you go to the comments section when the replay gets posted on YouTube and leave your favorite pick of the day down in the comment section. Just those 3 simple steps get you automatically entered in to win a risk-free 2-pick to score $100. Now, if you're a Patreon member, good news for you. It's Free Entry Friday. That's where I give away over 10 free entries to win $100 to my loyal and faithful Patreon supporters. So if you're not in Patreon yet, you want to get signed up, listen, it's just $20 a month. It helps support this show. Keeps free content free here on YouTube, right? You can join the Patreon. You can be a part of the community. We're sharing our favorite picks, info, stats, and entries on PrizePicks every single day, all day long. Now, yesterday, I posted a total, I think, of 5 picks to Patreon. We ended up going 3 and 2. So 3 winning picks, 2 losing picks. We took Clint Capella over first half PRA. Shout out to Club for bringing that one to our attention. That one ends up going well over. He was at 10 first half PRA against Embiid. Capella has hit 10 or more first half PRA against Embiid in every single game for his career. Something to keep an eye out on next time they play one another, which I think is coming up here soon. Maybe tomorrow they play again. On top of that, I also took the over on Anthony Simons at 4.5 assists. I took it at 5 assists as well. He crushed both of those. And I took the over on his fantasy score at just 32.5. He does really well without Damian Lillard in the lineup. I don't think it's any secret at this point. His assist line at 4.5, just far too low. So that's kind of what we went over yesterday. There was 3 winning picks, 2 losers, and winner's circle was kind of lit up again last night. We had some pretty decent wins from last night's small NBA slate. Today we've got 8 NBA games, a lot of NBA action going around today. All of the games have totals of 220 or higher. All of the games have spreads under 10 points, so it looks like we're going to have a lot of high scoring, offensive type of games, and it looks like hopefully no blowouts. That's what we pray for, right? Especially when we take the overs. We don't want these games to blow out and get out of hand. Let's run through the chat real quick. Appreciate everybody being here. Make sure you're subscribed. Slap that like button for me. Let's run those likes up as high as we can. Roy says, let's go. Shout out to you, Roy. We got Mr. Ruiz in the building. He says, good week overall for the Patreon family. Appreciate your support in the Patreon, Tony. He says, happy Veterans Day and thank you for all your service. Happy Gordo. Does Patreon charge you every first of the month or the date that you sign up on? So the way that my Patreon is set up, because there are Discord benefits that are tied into Patreon, it's going to charge you as soon as you sign up. And then it's going to charge you at the first of the month automatically if you're set for auto renewal. So that's the way mine's set up. It's complicated, but feel free to message me. We could talk about it offline, but that's the way I have mine set up. It'll charge you as soon as you sign up, and then it'll charge you the first of the month going forward. Dakota says, yes, happy Veterans Day to any and all veterans. Thank you all for what you have sacrificed for our beautiful country of ours. Couldn't agree more, man. Salute to all the veterans out there. Chris Raptor says, King Raptor in the house. Let's freaking go. Get your $20 protected plays in. That's right. It is also Flex Friday. Thanks for reminding me, Mr. Raptor. Flex Friday, meaning you can risk up to $20. And if that entry loses, you'll get that $20 back in promo credit. So it's risk-free. So maybe, let's say you typically put $20 One unit is $20 for you. Maybe you go $40 for one unit and you swing for the fences. That's what I did last week. Instead of putting $25 on a 5-pick, I ended up putting $50 because I knew 20 of those dollars were going to be protected by PrizePicks. So really, I was only risking $30, $5 more than what I normally would put on a 5-pick flex. And I swung for the fences. I ended up hitting a home run. I went 5 for 5, hit for $500. So I'm going to be looking to maybe run something like that back tonight. But yeah, it is Flex Friday. You get $20. Your first $20 in entries are refunded. So shout out to PrizePicks for providing that for Flex Friday. Ricky says, Curry, over or under on boards? We'll talk about some Curry. I like some Curry tonight. Of course, I'm Curry, but I'm talking about Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors. We'll talk about that. Jonathan says, yo, back at you. Mo says, what's up, gang? Happy Veterans Day. Remembrance Day here in Canada. Let's get to the bag in honor of those who have served. Sounds like a good plan to me. Everyday Fantasy says, greeting, good people. Flip the Money Friday. I like that. Flip the Money Friday. Big shout out to all the Patreon members out there. Trey Kinlow says, good morning. Let's get it. Trill Fate's in the building. Flex Friday. You flex. I got to flex back. No Limit is in the building. John says he just joined the Patreon. Appreciate you, John. Thanks for being a part of the community. Thanks for supporting what we're doing here on the show. Osmosis Jones. He's been MIA. Where you been, Osmosis Jones? OJ, we missed you. Shout out to you. Thanks for being here, bro. Happy Gordo is here. AOD says, CJ, we love you. I love you back, brother. Much love, much love. Appreciate you. James is in the building. He says, hey, everyone. One big yesterday was going for Kyle Kuzma over on points and DeJounte Murray over on assists. Love it. Love it. Hayes is in the building. What's up, CJ? Time to get to the money. I'm feeling lucky. Love to hear that, Mr. Hayes. 704 God says, yo, we back. Yeah, we back. Yesterday, we had some bad weather here in the Tampa Bay area. We had that tropical storm, hurricane, Nicole come through. It was causing my power to go out. I didn't sleep so well. I was sleep deprived. Didn't feel like getting here on YouTube yesterday, all right? I didn't have enough time to prepare, but we're back today. Let's go ahead and play some Purdle, guys. What is Poeltl? Well, Poeltl is the NBA mystery player guessing game. So today's thumbnail player of the day is Nikola Jokic. Let's start there. Let's see if Nikola Jokic is a good guess. It's not that great of a guess. We didn't get hardly any matches. We did get one partial match. So what we know based on our first guess of Nikola Jokic is that this player is not Jokic, is not a Denver Nugget, does not play out west. All right, is not a center, is somebody who is shorter than 6'11". We got pretty close with the age, so it's going to be somebody who's a veteran, right? 27, 28, 29 years old, but the jersey number is going to be a number below 15. So how do we proceed from here? Well, we probably don't want to guess a center. We probably don't want to guess a tall player, and we probably don't want to guess a really young player, and we don't want to guess anybody from out west. This is going to be an Eastern Conference player. So we have our work cut out for us today. Where do we want to go? Maybe we guess a guard, like a veteran guard. What a guy like, I don't know. I'm going to throw Big Booty Lowry out there. Kyle Lowry of the Miami Heat. It's just a random guess. Let's see if that gets us any closer. No, Kyle Lowry's a little too old. BBL is not the correct answer. All we know now is that this player is in the East. All right, is not a guard, is taller than 6 foot, but shorter than 6'11", is older than 27, but younger than 36. Jersey number is going to be a number below 7. So it's a single digit jersey number, or it could be a 00. All right, so we're not looking for a guard here. We're looking for maybe like a hybrid player, like a forward, small forward / power forward, maybe like an in-between type of guy. All right. Getting some guesses here. We got KD as a guess. We got Zach LaVine as a guess. I think KD might be a little bit too tall. Too tall here. You guys are saying Joe Harris, but he's too old. Joe Harris is too old, you think? Let's look at this silhouette real quick. Whew. Who is this fella? Well, he's got a little facial hair on him, it looks like. A little beard. We got a little bit of, I don't know what we got up top there. A little frizziness going. I wouldn't call those waves. I wouldn't call those micros. I don't know what those are. I don't know what my man's working with there. A little short, I don't know, 9'5" haircut or something. I don't know. I don't know what we're looking at there. Who is that? You know who that kind of looks like, actually? He plays tonight for the Toronto Raptors. That kind of looks like Fred VanVleet to me. No, it's not Fred VanVleet. I mean, doesn't that kind of look like Fred VanVleet? A little puffy hair, a little bit of facial hair on him. All right, it's not Fred VanVleet, guys, but, that was just one I was throwing out there. But this player does play in the East in the Atlantic Division. Not a guard, though. I don't know why I guessed Fred VanVleet. It just kind of looked like his silhouette. Yeah, that was a dumb guess, Jonathan. Thank you. Thank you for embarrassing me. Kind of looked like Fred VanVleet to me, though. Let's try some of these guys that you guys are naming here. You guys are saying Zach LaVine. You really think it's Zach LaVine? Zach LaVine's a guard, though, and they're saying it's not a guard. Okay, well, LaVine does get us a step closer, right? Eastern Conference, we know this player's a guard / forward, 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", in that range. LaVine does fit the age profile, does not fit the jersey number requirement, though. He wears number 8. We're looking for a lower single digit number. DeRozan? There ain't no way. That's not DeMar DeRozan. That's not DeMar DeRozan. No, that's not DeRozan's silhouette. I don't know who we're looking at. You guys are saying Harden? I don't think that's James Harden, though. I really don't think that's James Harden. We'll go for it. I mean, we're looking for somebody who's kind of more of a forward, but that's not James Harden. The jersey number was a good guess, but now we know that the jersey number is going to be one below 1. So we're looking for like a 0 or a 00. You know who this might be, gang? This might be Royce O'Neal. I don't know. I'm just saying that kind of fits Royce O'Neal's profile. Let me look. Let's check it out. I don't think anybody guessed Royce O'Neal in the chat. Did I have any Royce O'Neal guesses? I think I was the only one on Royce O'Neal Island. Yo, today's was kind of hard. But it ended up being Royce O'Neal. We got it right. Royce with the little baby fro. He's got the beard. He's got the headband going. All right. Royce O'Neal, Brooklyn Net, Eastern Conference, Atlantic Division, plays forward. He's 6'6". He's 29 years old, and he wears 00 for Royce O'Neal. Jonathan said, I didn't want to spoil it. Well, Jonathan, I appreciate you not dropping any spoilers, but it is Royce O'Neal of the Brooklyn Nets. All right, let's run through today's NBA slate. Like I mentioned, guys, we got 8 games to talk about. Let's start busting it down. Denver at Boston. Pretty nice game here. 230 points. This one's going to be on NBA TV. All right, prime time. 4.5 point spread. Looks like it's going to be fairly high scoring, close, competitive. We got a couple of picks from this game. At least one pick that I think looks pretty decent. And then we'll talk about another one. As far as injuries go, no Malcolm Brogdon for the Boston Celtics, so that's going to shake things up. He's been coming off of the bench, relieving Marcus Smart and Derek White, who have been starting at the guard spots. But Boston's expected lineup tonight looks like Smart, Brown, Tatum, Williams, and Al Horford. So they've moved Derek White to the bench. So maybe White comes in, gets more minutes in place of Malcolm Brogdon. So that's a pretty big piece of injury news. No Malcolm Brogdon for the Boston Celtics. Phoenix at Orlando. My Orlando Magic hosting the Phoenix Suns. Keep an eye on Chris Paul. He is currently a game time decision. This one looks like it's going to be one of the lowest scoring games of the night and has the potential to be a blowout. 7.5 point spread. It favors the Phoenix Suns. I kind of lean towards Phoenix resting Chris Paul. I don't think that they need Chris Paul necessarily to beat the Orlando Magic. Listen, I'm a Magic fan. I'm just keeping it real. All right. On the Magic side of things, Paolo Banchero did not play in his last game. His first missed game of his career. I don't know if he's going to play tonight or not. He is a game time decision, but this one's looking kind of rough for me right now. Some guys that I might be interested in, maybe DeAndre Ayton versus the Orlando Magic. We've seen some bigs have success against the Orlando Magic. Despite all the length and size that we have in Orlando, you can beat them on the interior. So Detroit at New York is our next game, 7:30 p.m. tip-off. Mitchell Robinson continues to sit for the New York Knicks, so keep an eye on Jericho Sims, Julius Randle, and Isaiah Hartenstein will take up most of the time at the front court positions for the New York Knicks. On the Detroit side, Cade Cunningham is a game-time decision, and it sounds like we'll see the debut of Alec Burks. Veteran Alec Burks, yes, the Pistons had Alec Burks. They traded for him or signed him in the offseason. He's going to make his debut for the Detroit Pistons tonight. I'm not sure how that's going to shake things up or affect the rotation. We've also finally seen Marvin Bagley, instead of being out, he is a game time decision. So the Pistons are starting to get healthy here. They've already got a pretty good young nucleus. Get some of these veterans healthy like Marvin Bagley, Alec Burks. You never know what could happen, right? They got a pretty scary team if all goes well. But this one's got a 224.5 point total, 8.5 point spread. It's favoring the New York Knicks. It could turn into a blowout. So I'm not so loving that game. But on to the next one, Milwaukee at San Antonio. This one's got a total of 219.5, 2-point spread. Keep an eye on Giannis. Well, he's already ruled out. So no Giannis, no Drew Holiday, no Chris Middleton. They're missing their big three tonight. No big three for the Milwaukee Bucks. All three of those guys sat out in the last game as well. They don't really need those guys to play tonight against San Antonio. San Antonio, kind of a young team. So it looks like it'll be Javon Carter, Grayson Allen, Beauchamp, Bobby Portis, and Brook Lopez is the starting five for Milwaukee. So that should be an interesting game. I do like a pick from this game. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Toronto at OKC tips off at 8 o'clock. No Pascal Siakam for Toronto. He's missed the last few games. We've seen Fred VanVleet and OG Anunoby go absolutely crazy the last couple of games. And who's to say it won't happen again tonight? Total on this one is just 219. It's a 5-point spread, so one of the lower scoring games. And then on the flip side, guys, how good has SGA been, right? Gilgeous-Alexander, last game he played Milwaukee. Of course, Milwaukee was missing their top three studs, but Gilgeous-Alexander ended up taking that game to overtime and continues to get buckets. So SGA might be a good way to go. 9:30 p.m. tip-off between the Minnesota Timberwolves and Memphis Grizzlies. This is one of the games that I'm anticipating will be one to watch. This is a fun-looking game here on paper. As far as injuries go, nothing real crazy on either side. We're going to have our full complement of players. So that means D'Lo, Ant, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert taking on the likes of Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, and Steven Aquaman Adams. So that looks like a pretty fun matchup with a total of 234, guys. Fireworks. Fireworks indeed. 4.5 point spread as well. Cleveland at Golden State tips off at 10 o'clock. I like Steph Curry. We talked about Curry a moment ago. Somebody in the chat brought him up. So we'll be digging into a Steph Curry prop. That might be a good way to go. But this one has all the makings of a fun game as well. 232.5 points. Just a 2.5 point spread. Fun game. This might be a NBA Finals preview here. Cleveland 8-3. Golden State, they need to get their act together. They're just 4-7, but they're the defending champions, right? We expect the Golden State Warriors to be in the playoffs and be in that championship picture toward the end of the season. But you got Garland, Mitchell, LeVert, Mobley, and Allen versus Curry, Thompson, Wiggins, Green, and Looney. Not so much, but yeah, you get the point. Looks like a fun game. And then finally, the last game of the night, Sacramento at LA. Sacramento completely healthy across the board. No injuries to worry about there. But on the LA side, Anthony Davis, game time decision. He's probably going to play. No LeBron James. The king is sitting out. He will not play against Sacramento. But still, 232 point total, guys. 3.5 point spread. So this one's looking fun, too, for some player prop action. So that's the full rundown. Let's get into some of the picks that are standing out to me. Hopefully things haven't moved just yet. We could talk about all of these. Starting with this big guy, Nikola Jokic, going up against the Boston Celtics tonight. I know Jokic has been very hard to trust here, gang, but this is a good spot for Jokic going up against Al Horford, Jason Tatum, Grant Williams. That front court's kind of small, kind of undersized. I kind of want to go back to the Joker here. Now I'm going to go PRA because he's been very difficult to trust when it comes to scoring points, right? He has not been scoring so well. I think Jamal Murray being back in that starting lineup is kind of shaking things up for the Joker. But again, this looks like a really good spot on paper. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's go look at the DVP here. Nikola Jokic versus the Boston Celtics. We see the Boston Celtics are giving up a healthy number of points to centers at 21 per game. They're giving up over 17 rebounds to opposing centers as well. So that's a whole lot of rebounds. And then the assist department, just 3.3. But we know that Nikola Jokic is maybe the best passing big man in all of the NBA. Do you guys agree? Is there a better big man at passing the basketball than Nikola Jokic? I think you could make an argument for Domantas Sabonis. He's pretty good at dropping dimes. If they had him up on the board today, I'd probably be talking about him against the Lakers for 5.5 assists, but they don't have him up on the board. But anyway, Jokic, one of the better passing big men. So Boston's given up about 21 points, 17 rebounds. That's already 38 PRA. And then Jokic is going to be out there dishing the basketball. 3 assists on top of that. We're coming really close to about 40 PRA. His number is just 42.5. When's the last time you seen Jokic at 42.5 PRA? I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying. Let's look at some of the game logs here. We know the matchup's looking pretty nice against Boston. I don't think Al Horford's going to really be able to hold Nikola Jokic down. Let's go look at what he's been doing this season. Jokic is now 5 for 10 on the season at 42.5 PRA. That's a 50% hit rate. He's going to have to score. But the reason, again, that we're going PRA is because if he's not having the best scoring game, we know he's going to be racking up rebounds. We know he's going to be racking up dimes. So he still has an opportunity to get there at 42.5, even if he's not scoring 30 points, right? Taking a look at last season, going up against the Boston Celtics. He played the Celtics twice. He had 50 PRA in one game, 35 PRA in another. So he was 1 for 2 going up against Boston in the PRA department. But we cannot sleep. We cannot sleep on the former MVP, right? Taking a look at some of the Boston metrics here as far as points allowed, they rank 19th. That's good news. 22nd in rebounds. That's good news. They don't allow a whole lot of assists per game. But again, Nikola Jokic, one of the better passing bigs in the league. And they rank just 27th in center defense. So I think Joker should be in a pretty darn good spot. Let's get you a projection here on Nikola Jokic using Fantasy Labs and Action Labs player prop projections. We'll pull up the PRA for Jokic. He's projected for 39.8 PRA. Now, the projection doesn't sound sexy, right? It leads us to believe that maybe we should think about going under here. But what does look good to me is the fact that we are getting value on this pick. In other words, he's at 42.5 on PrizePicks, but we're finding him at 43.5 on FanDuel, 43.5 on Parks, Bet Rivers, Rivers Resort, Unibet. So the majority of the sites out there have this guy's line set at 43.5. They think 43.5 is the better line, more accurate line, meaning 43 to 44 points, rebounds, and assists. We talked about this one being a high scoring game, 230 points, 4.5 point spread. It's on NBA TV. It's going to be a featured broadcast, right? So I think Jokic could be in a good spot to kind of bounce back here against the Boston Celtics, who have Al Horford and Grant Williams in the front court. He should be able to take advantage of this matchup. So I think I'm liking Jokic for more than 42.5. So that's a more play for me. Now, sticking in the PRA category, let's go down to the bottom of the board here. We got Steph Curry at just 40.5 PRA. Seems kind of low. I know the matchup is going to be a tough one against the Cleveland Cavaliers, but here's why I believe in Steph Curry. The Cavaliers, with Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, they do a fantastic job of protecting the paint. Steph Curry, though, he can score from anywhere. From beyond the arc, that's typically where you can attack the Cleveland Cavaliers. Shooting threes. His outside shooting, best ever, right? We know he could shoot the ball from the outside, but he can also get into the mid-range game, right? He can hit that little floater, that giant killer floater over the likes of Mobley, over the likes of Allen. He's got the touch, the finesse to do all that. But let's just say he's not having a great scoring game. He can drop dimes too. He can pull in rebounds as well. His PRA is looking like a really solid way to go. Let's go look at the matchup real quick against the Cleveland Cavaliers. As far as points allowed to point guards, listen, I told you, it's not going to look great on paper here. Just 18.5 points allowed, just 5 rebounds allowed, and about 8 assists allowed per game. Now, if this was any other point guard, I'd be concerned, but it's not just any other point guard. It's one of the greatest of all time, Steph Curry. Let's go look at his game logs a little bit here. High total game, Cleveland at Golden State. Should be must-see TV. We see what Curry has done here. 8 out of 10 this season, an 80% hit rate, averaging 46.6 PRA. Guys, he's averaging over 50 PRA in his last 5 games. His line is set at 40.5. I'm just saying that's like a difference of 10 PRA here. He's hit the over at 40.5 in 6 straight games. My boy has been on one, from one Curry to another. Shout out to Steph Curry. Dropped 63 PRA in his last game against Sacramento. So how did he do against Cleveland? last season. Let's take a look. Played the Cavaliers twice. He had 50 PRA in one game, 38 in another. So he has shown that he could get it done against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm not concerned with Steph Curry in this matchup. Let's get you a projection as well. Projection for Curry's PRA. I got him at 39.4. It's really close to the 40.5. But again, just like Jokic, you're going to find Steph Curry's PRA line as high as 41.5 on some of these sports books, meaning we're getting a point of value on this pick once again on PrizePicks. So he's at 40.5 on DraftKings, where they're betting the over. BetMGM, 40.5, they're betting the over. And then all these other sites, he's at 41.5. Now, he's a slight betting favorite to go under at 41.5, but it's important to note that as far as the over at 41.5, we're not seeing plus odds here. We're seeing minus odds even at 41.5, which means some people out there think that this could still hit even at 41.5, and I'm one of those people. So I think we jump on this while it's still at 40.5. I could see it getting bumped maybe to 41 at some point throughout the day, but that's going to be a more play for me. Now we're sticking with PRA today. I want to talk about Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey, up until his last game against a depleted Milwaukee Bucks team, had been going under 27.5 PRA in his previous 4 games. You see, he put up 18 against Orlando, 22 against Denver, 23 against Milwaukee, 17 against Detroit, and then in a recent game against Milwaukee, put up 39 PRA. So I want to take a closer look at Josh Giddey. Now, in the past, he's been one of those players who has racked up the stats, right? We know that he's capable of scoring, rebounding, assisting. He kind of does it all. He's a Swiss Army knife, a jack of all trades of sorts. But will he get there tonight? I mean, I don't know. Toronto is a tough defensive team. Even without Pascal Siakam, they're still one of those teams that can give an opposing player nightmares. So looking at Josh Giddey's game logs here, you can see what he's done this season. He has gone under 27.5 PRA in 3 out of 8 games. Now, I want to look at the last few games specifically and kind of just get a feel for his minutes, because his minutes you could see here from 10-23 to 11-1, 11-3, 11-5, and 11-7. His minutes have been at like 31.9 or lower. Now, in the last game, that game ended up going into overtime against Milwaukee. He ended up playing a whopping 44.2 minutes, a season high for Giddey. Now, again, there was no Drew Holiday, there was no Giannis, there was no Chris Middleton in that game, so he had a pretty easy time against the Milwaukee Bucks. But will he have that easy time tonight against a Toronto Raptors squad who's without Pascal Siakam? I mean, he's still got Fred VanVleet out there. You still got Gary Trent. You still got OG Anunoby. You still got Scotty Barnes. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to buy the overs yet on Josh Giddey. But 44.2 minutes will help anybody get the overs on any of their props, right? As far as field goal attempts go, he shot the ball 19 times, also a season high for field goal attempts. Ended up with 18 points in that game, 15 rebounds. Do we think he's going to pull in 15 rebounds tonight against the Toronto Raptors? I don't think he's going to get back to 15 boards. He does have 11 and 12 rebounds in some of the previous games, but 15 against Toronto just seems like an awful lot of rebounds. Just quickly taking a look at the matchup here. Giddey and SGA, kind of really hard to define if they're a point guard or a shooting guard. So we'll look at both backcourt spots. Against the Toronto Raptors, Raptors are giving up just 20 points to point guards, about 7 rebounds, and about 7.5 assists per game. So we'll call that about, 34 or so PRA. 34 or so PRA given up to opposing point guards. What about shooting guards? Raptors giving up about 24 points, 6 boards, and 7 assists to shooting guards. So you kind of combine all those numbers, and you're looking at about 38 PRA. All right, they're not giving up a ton of PRA here. Now, if he happens to play 44 minutes tonight, he's going to go over 27.5 PRA. But we could take a look at a projection for his minutes using Fantasy Labs here. Fantasy Labs has Giddey projected to play about 30 minutes tonight. About 30 to 31 minutes, we'll call it. So, tough matchup. We know that. Toronto, you see as far as where they rank defensively, 5th in total points allowed, 9th in total rebounds allowed, 20th in total assists allowed. and 20th in shooting guard defense. Pretty tough team. No green here. It's red or yellow, right? Really tough matchup on paper. So what are the projections saying here on Josh Giddey? Let's take a look at that. He's projected for 25.4 PRA. He is at 27.5 PRA on all sports books out there. Now, we're not seeing a ton of action on the over, meaning most bettors aren't betting this up for him to go for 28 or more PRA. Minus 120 odds. You're seeing him at minus 120 across the board pretty much. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I'd probably either fade it or lean toward the under against a tough Toronto team. What do you guys think on this one? To me, this one's probably the most controversial pick that we'll talk about today. But if you think Josh Giddey is back to 100%, then you might want to just fade this and leave it alone. Let me know what you think on Giddey, though. All right. Now, I got a couple of first half only picks. One of these guys hit, one of these guys missed in their last game. Talking PRA still, Michael Porter Jr., 13.5 PRA. He's going up against the Boston Celtics tonight. Michael Porter Jr. had been a guy that people just continued to click the overs on for his first half props, and they continued to hit up until his last game against Indiana, where he finished with 11 first half PRA. Are we ready to get back on the Michael Porter Jr. first half PRA train? Guys in the chat, let me know. Are we liking this or not? Are you once bitten, twice shy with taking Michael Porter Jr. over 13.5 PRA? Well, let's just take a look here. We're going to use StatMuse for this. We're going to go Michael Porter Jr. first half points plus rebounds plus assist logs this season. And this is StatMuse. StatMuse is completely free for those of you who are wondering. Cost you nothing to use it. So here's all of Michael Porter Jr.'s first half PRA game logs from this season, right? We talked about him falling short against Indiana with just 11. Well, we backed that up. He hit in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of his previous games in a row. He had an 8-game hit streak going. All right. So he has 8 out of his last 10. That's still an 80% hit rate. I like 80% hit rates. And I also like going back to a player after he had a down game. I think I like going back to a prop after a flop. Bars. So what happened to Michael Porter Jr. in that last game? Why did he fall flat? Why did he fall short? Well, I can tell you one thing. He only had 7 points. Another thing that kind of hurt him was his rebounds. Only had 3 boards against Indiana. In his previous games, you kind of see where his points were. He had like 14 and 5. 10 and 6, 8 and 5, 12 and 3, 15 and 8, 12 and 3 again, 12 and 4, 11 and 4. All right. So he did fall short against Indiana, but it was a combination of low scoring, low rebounding, right? He's going to get his PRA through points and rebounds. Not so much through assists. He'll get you 1 to 2 on a good day. But he's going to have to be shooting the ball well. In this case, he did not shoot well. 3 for 8, 37.5% from the field. You look at some of his other field goal percentages, guys, 62, 66, 60, 42, 57, 50, 40, 66, and 50. So this was by far his worst first half shooting performance of the season. Got plenty of opportunities with 8 attempts, shot 1 for 4 from beyond the arc. He just wasn't hitting his shots. I mean, if he drains one more of those threes, if one more of those threes fall, let's say he goes 2 for 4 or 2 for 5 rather, instead of 1 for 4, he's over, right? So I think we could go back to this. I think he's also in a good spot here against the Boston Celtics to get some rebounds. Taking a look at this matchup, Michael Porter Jr. is a power forward going up against the Boston Celtics tonight. Let's see how many points per game that Boston's giving up to power forwards per game. In the points department, not so hot. They're giving up about 19.2 points per game. But as far as rebounds go, this is where you could see an uptick in this game, is him grabbing some rebounds against the Boston Celtics. They give up almost 10 per game to power forwards, which kind of puts them toward the middle, upper tier as far as that goes. So we talked about Jokic for PRA, but I also think Michael Porter Jr.'s PRA is a fine look. I think I'm going to go back to it tonight after that flop. looking pretty decent to me. 8 out of 10 hit rate. I know he burned some people in the last game, but I think you go back to it and hope for better results tonight. He just did not shoot well. Did not rebound well, but he's in a better spot tonight. I think we go back to it for more than 13.5. What do you guys think? Getting back on the MPJ train? Let me know. The other guy who we took last game, who did hit and has continued to hit at a high clip, is Devin Vassell of the San Antonio Spurs. He's going up against a Milwaukee Bucks team, who we already talked about is missing Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? No Chris Middleton, no Drew Holiday. He's going to have a much, much easier matchup against this Milwaukee Bucks squad. Devin Vassell has been getting the freaking job done. Let's go take a look at his first half PRA so far this season. And again, we're using StatMuse to pull up a full list of games for him. So you type in Devin Vassell's name, 1H, that stands for first half. Then you type in PTS for points, +, REB for rebounds, +, AST for assists, and then follow it up with the words logs this season. Hit enter, and then you will be pleasantly surprised with what Devin Vassell has been up to, especially in his last 7 games. He is 7 for 8 this season, but he's also on a 7-game hit streak here at 14.5 PRA. He had 21 in his last game against Memphis, 16, 15, 20, 15, 22, and 18. Like I said, 7 for 8, 7 straight games. Why would you go away from this prop tonight? I don't know. I don't know why you would go away from this prop without Giannis, Middleton, and Drew Holiday in the lineup. Why would you fade it? Why would you not take it? Why would you not at least throw it in one entry? You tell me. It's looking pretty darn good to me, though. As far as the DVP goes, we'll call Devin Vassell the shooting guard for the San Antonio Spurs. Say Keldon Johnson's the small forward. All right, that's kind of what we're going to go with. You got Socan. He's kind of like a, power forward. They got a lot of guys who are kind of hybrid, shooting guard, small forwards. But anyway, as far as the Milwaukee Bucks go, gang, they are giving up over 25 points per game. That is the 4th most points per game to shooting guards. 8 rebounds per game. Where does that rank? Well, it ranks number 1, meaning they are giving up the most rebounds per game to shooting guards, and they're giving up a nice little 4.4 assists. I think this is a very fine pick tonight. Depleted Milwaukee Bucks squad should be giving up even more PRA, in my opinion. Are you guys liking this one? Devin Vassell at 14.5 PRA. I mean, I think it looks as good as anything tonight. So I'd be clicking the over or more on this one. So I think what we could do here, we'll leave Josh Giddey off because we're a little skittish on Giddey, but I like Jokic's spot. I like Steph Curry's spot. I like Michael Porter Jr. and Devin Vassell's spot. So I'm going to go ahead and put my risk-free $20 on this. If it hits all 4 of them, I'll win $100. I'll win $100. Lock it in before the lines move. All right, that's what we're going with. You can ride, you can fade, you can tail, you can not tail, whatever the opposite of tail is. Up to you. It's your money. You do what you want. But we're going to take a shot here with these 4. Joker at 42.5 just seems like a great discount. Steph Curry for 40.5 PRA. Michael Porter Jr. for more than 13.5 first half PRA. And Devin Vassell for more than 14.5 first half PRA. I like them all. All right, that's what we're rolling with. Q&A time. If you have any questions, now's the time to submit them. If you want to know about a certain pick, a certain prop, if you want your question answered, do what ZXR Skills has done and leave a super chat. Thank you so much, ZXR Skills, for that super chat. He's saying, good afternoon. Well, good afternoon back to you. He's liking Donovan Mitchell for more than 27.5 points tonight. What do you think about this prop? I think that is a solid option. It's actually one that I considered myself, my friend. I think you're onto something here. I think Donovan Mitchell has been absolutely going bonkers since joining the Cleveland Cavaliers, and it doesn't really matter if Darius Garland plays or not. Is Donovan Mitchell up on the board? Am I just missing him? There he is. All right. Donovan Mitchell at 27.5 points. Just the points. Now, I also like, if we get it at some point, Donovan Mitchell's points and assists, where you can combine the points and assists, I think that's another solid way to go. But yeah, when you look at Donovan Mitchell's last 5 games, 32.8 points per game, nearly 33 points per game. Donovan Mitchell's been balling. All right, he fell short against the Boston Celtics, had just 25 against them, but his other 4 games, 30 or more points. Now, Golden State is a tough matchup. Make no mistake about it. The Warriors, typically pretty good team defensively, right? Let's go see how many points they're allowing per game to the point guard position. So we go find Golden State, Steph Curry versus Donovan Mitchell. Golden State, where they at? About 23 points per game. 23 points per game. He's at 27.5, right? So this is what they give up to point guards per game on average. But we know this is not an average point guard. This is no average player in Donovan Mitchell. He has been white hot, right? Not just red hot, but white hot. And when you're white hot's hotter than red hot. Donovan Mitchell has been white hot. He's been super hot, guys. So they're giving up about 23 points per game. That kind of puts them like right in the middle of the league, right, as far as points allowed. And then the assists, if you can get the points plus assists at some point, they're giving up over 8 assists per game to point guards, which puts them pretty close to the top of the list here, right? Closer to the top than the bottom, so they are giving up a healthy amount of assists per game as well. Now, I also want to look at the shooting guard spot because they do have Darius Garland, they do have Donovan Mitchell. Who's the point guard? Who's the shooting guard? Who the heck knows? So we're going to look at both of them. Let's look at the point guard position, or shooting guard position rather. Golden State against shooting guards, they're giving up about 21 to 22 points per game and about 5 assists per game. So they're giving up 21, 22, 23 points per game to point guards and shooting guards. Donovan Mitchell has definitely been getting the lion's share of the points and the shot attempts for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's do this deep dive for my man ZXR Skills here, who left the super chat. Again, appreciate the super chat. Helps support my content, helps keep this free content free. So shout out to you for that super chat. And guys, if you have questions, hard-hitting, pressing questions that you need urgent answers, super chat's going to guarantee that I see your question, and it's going to help support what we do here. But anyway, Donovan Mitchell here, you can see his full game logs, guys. He's 8 for 10 this season, 80% hit rate. He's averaging almost 32 points per game for the season. He's at just 27.5 tonight, right? The points per game average has even shot up in the last 5 games from 31.9 to 32.8 in the last 5. So we're starting to see a little bit of a trend upwards here as far as his points go. Now, he did play the Golden State Warriors last season a number of times. 3 games against Golden State. Now, this was back when he was with the Utah Jazz, right? This was before he joined Cleveland. When he was with the Jazz, though, 20, 14, and 26. Does what he did against the Jazz, or when he was with the Jazz against the Warriors last season, do these game logs concern you at all? Do we think this is just irrelevant data at this point? Him on the Jazz versus the Golden State Warriors, 20, 14, and 26 points, 0 for 3. Does that concern you at all? Let me know in the chat what you think here. But he was 0 for 3 against Golden State, covering 27.5 points against the Warriors. Now, when you scroll down here and you take a look at the rankings for Golden State, you're going to see a whole lot of green here. Almost top of the league in terms of total points allowed. 22nd in field goal percentage, that's green. 23 in three-pointers allowed, that's total threes per game, which is something that Donovan Mitchell likes to do, shoot the 3 ball. 18th in three-point percentage allowed, 30th in free throws allowed, and 28th against opposing shooting guards. So like I said, whole lot of green here. We know the total is going to be high, 232.5 points, just a 2.5-point spread. Should be fireworks in this game. Should be a lot of points scored and a lot of offense from both sides here. But yes, he has been absolutely balling. Going down here, taking a look at his minutes, almost 40 minutes per game this season. Playing a healthy amount of minutes. He should be close to 40 tonight, as long as the game stays close and competitive. Field goal attempts, over 22 shots per game on average. My dude has the green light. They traded for him for a reason, to come in there and be that offensive playmaker, creator, shot taker, right? And he's taken lots and lots of shots, over 22 per game, about 21 in his last 5. We look at the 3-point attempts per game. Again, these numbers are quite high, shooting about 10 threes per game. That number has climbed to almost 11 attempts in his last 5 games. So he's getting plenty of shots. Free throw attempts, pretty healthy numbers in most of his games as well. So yes, Donovan Mitchell's probably in a pretty decent spot here. I can't blame you for going back to him, although he has had his struggles last season against the Warriors, right? Let's get you a projection on this number. I think we've looked at this one quite enough, leaning more toward taking him for more than 27.5 points than less. But yes, at 27.5, we're seeing some strong juice, strong action at 27.5, guys. Minus 140 on DraftKings to go over at 27.5. The higher the number, the better, right? So minus 140, you see him at minus 120 on BetMGM. So more action coming in on the over on DraftKings than on BetMGM. We're even seeing him at 28.5 on a site like FanDuel. So they have him priced up at 28.5, which is a good sign if you're thinking about taking the over. Because at 28.5, FanDuel's lines makers have him going for either 28 to 29 points, both of which are higher than 27.5, right? So yeah, I don't mind you taking the over on Donovan Mitchell at 27.5. I think that's a good look. What other super chats do we have? I saw a couple come through. JS Vocals coming through with the $4.99 super chat. Appreciate that, my brother. Thank you so much for the support. He says, what's up, Curry? Let's get that bag. I'm on the fence. He's got Desmond Bane for 20 or Ja for 25. This will make or break my ticket. So you're trying to decide whether or not you should go for Desmond Bane for 20 points or Ja Morant for 25 points. Like, which one's more likely to hit? Is that what we're asking? Yeah. Or maybe even going on both. Okay. Well, let's look at both of them here. So I'm guessing you're playing like some sort of alternate line on another site, right? Because Desmond Bane, I've got him at 22.5. Ja Morant, I got him at 30.5. And you're saying you're getting their lines. I guess you're playing an alternate point line. An alternate point line for these guys, but you've got Bane for 20 or Ja for 25. Hoo-wee. All right. Alternate point line here, gang. So this may not apply necessarily to PrizePicks. This is more of a sports book question, we'll say. But let's look at both. All right. Let's start by looking at the matchup here. Desmond Bane, the shooting guard, Ja Morant, the point guard. They're both going up against the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight. We know this is a high-scoring game. It's going to be a paced-up type of game, meaning both teams like to play fast. Both teams are getting up and down the floor, right? Lots of shots should be going up. Lots of offense should be going down in both of these games. So going to the Minnesota Timberwolves here, taking a look at what they're doing in terms of points allowed to point guards. They are giving up over 23 per game, about 23.5 points per game to point guards. So he's getting an alternate line on Ja Morant at 25. All right, and they're giving up about 23.5 to point guards. And then he's got Desmond Bane at an alternate point prop of 20. Minnesota's given up over 21.5 points per game to shooting guards. All right, so Desmond Bane for 20, Ja Morant for 25. That's what we got, right? All right, let's look at the game logs for both of these guys real quick. Minnesota, Memphis. Let's start with Ja. Ja's obviously a little bit higher, as he should be. Going back to last season here, if we bump his line down to 25, he has hit 25 or more points. Let's make it 24.5. There we go. 24.5. He's covered 24.5 points in 58% of his games. 58%. Against Minnesota, he played the Timberwolves quite a few times last season. 2 for 10 against Minnesota. He has struggled against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's dial this back down to 24.5. All right, 3 for 10. 3 for 10 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Not great, right? Just 3 for 10. He has some big games, 33, 32, and 30. But the rest of the games are pretty bad. 11, 16, 20, 23, 16, 11, and 17. So far, my man, Ja Morant is just 3 for 10 at 25 or more points going up against the T-Wolves. So let's take the T-Wolves out of the mix. Let's dial this line back down to 24.5. And let's look at the home and road splits. In this case, Ja Morant is going to be on the road. At home. He's going to be at home. So at home, dating back to last season at 24.5, he has gone over this number in 24 out of 38 games at home, 63% hit rate, 28 points per game at home is what he averages. In his last 10 home games, 30.3 points per game. His last 5 games, 27.4. And then against Minnesota at home, he is covered in 3 out of 5 at 24.5. All right. So that's Ja Morant at home. Now we're also going to look at Desmond Bane at home, because you got Bane and you need 20 out of Desmond Bane, right? Or 21, I guess you could say. Let's take a look here at Desmond Bane playing at home. Bump his line down to 19.5. We're looking for at least 20 points out of Bane. He's just 37% dating back to last season. 18 for 49. 37% at home. That's not good. Let's see if he hits better on the road. Oh, yeah. I think he's going to be a better hitter on the road here. Yeah, 58% on the road. So if you're going to take Desmond Bane's points, it looks like the best time to take Desmond Bane is when he's playing away. He's hit this number in 4 out of 6 games this season on the road. Desmond Bane, for whatever reason, seems to score better when he's playing away. Does not seem to score so well at home. Now, what about playing at home versus the Minnesota Timberwolves at 19.5? 2 for 5, just 40%. Now, what about all games versus the Timberwolves? Take this down from 22.5, move it down to 19.5. He is 6 for 10, 60%. For my money, I'd probably go Ja Morant, man. I'd probably go Ja for more than 25 points. He's going to have the ball in his hands more. He's the higher usage player. We could take a look at the usage real quick. Go to advanced filter, switch this from all teams. Go to the, Memphis Grizzlies. Click get stats. And then you can see how the usage stacks up. Ja Morant's usage is over 35. So I would have to stick with Ja, but let's get you a projection on both guys before we make our final decision here. Ja Morant's points, he's projected for 28.5 points. 28.5 points. So if you need 25 from him, that's 3.5 points higher, right? And then Desmond Bane's points, he's projected for 24.1. So that's about 4.1. I think they're both actually a pretty solid look. But just looking at like home and road splits, Ja Morant seems to be that dude at home, where Desmond Bane seems to be that dude on the road. So I guess we give the nod to Ja Morant. Higher usage, better hitter at home. Has had his struggles against the Minnesota Timberwolves, make no mistake. But I think that's the better look. Anyways, appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. Hopefully that helps you and you end up turning out a little profit there. We got Everyday Fantasy coming through with a super chat. He says, what about Aaron Gordon's fantasy plus Dillon Brooks PRA over? Dillon Brooks. Interesting. In Aaron Gordon's fantasy. We got Aaron Gordon, Denver Nuggets forward. He is at 26.5 fantasy score today. He's going up against the Boston Celtics. We talked a lot about some Denver Nuggets. We talked about some Jokic. We've talked about some MPJ for first half. He's like in Aaron Gordon's fantasy. And I think Aaron Gordon's scoring has been down lately. So if we're going to take fantasy on Aaron Gordon, we're probably going to look for some rebounds, some blocks, some steals, those types of stats to get the job done for us. And then you're also wanting to look at Dillon Brooks for PRA. Let's go find Dillon Brooks. By the way, I'm not sure who Dillon Brooks is going to be guarding tonight on the Minnesota Timberwolves, but if he's on Anthony Edwards, I wouldn't be taking any overs on Anthony Edwards because Dillon Brooks really is a problem. He locked Keldon Johnson up pretty good in the last game against San Antonio. He's a menace. Defensively, he is a pest, a nuisance. He's annoying. So keep that in mind. Matchups matter. If Dillon Brooks is on Ant Edwards tonight, which is who I would put him on if I was the head coach of the Memphis Grizzlies, I'd be trying to slow Ant down, make D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns beat me, right? Or Rudy Gobert beat me, which ain't going to happen. But yeah, I would put Dillon Brooks on Anthony Edwards. But let's look at both Aaron Gordon's fantasy score and take a look at Dillon Brooks' PRA. Aaron Gordon, FanDuel points logs this season. Again, this is StatMuse that's helping us out with finding out some more information on Aaron Gordon. He's at 26.5 fantasy score. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games played. He's gone over 26.5 fantasy score in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's 8 of 11. 8 of 11. Now, what happens with Jamal Murray in the lineup? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 10 in games in which Jamal Murray has played. So he's not necessarily negatively impacted by Jamal Murray. 8 out of 10 in games with Jamal Murray. So that's an 80% hit rate, my friend. I think Aaron Gordon looks like a pretty solid option. Now, Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., who's the small forward, who's the power forward, who the hell knows? We're going to look at both of them, though. Boston's given up about 22 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, and about 4 assists per game to small forwards. Couple that with some steals and some blocks, not really giving up a ton of blocks. They're giving up about 38.6 fantasy points per game to small forwards. He needs 27 to hit the over. As far as power forwards go, they give up less fantasy points. One of the bottom teams in the league when it comes to fantasy points to power forwards. So again, hard to determine who is who. I would probably say Aaron Gordon's more the power forward here, would be the more accurate descriptor for him. But either way, they're giving up close to 40 fantasy points to both forward positions. So figure they're giving up right around 80 total fantasy points to small forwards and power forwards. Aaron Gordon needs 27. That doesn't seem like it's that difficult, right? Let's get you a projection, though. We're going to be using Fantasy Labs FanDuel projections. Make sure you're using FanDuel projections when looking at NBA fantasy score on PrizePicks, all right? It is a 1-to-1, exact same scoring system. FanDuel scoring for fantasy and PrizePicks scoring for fantasy. Aaron Gordon, got him projected for 27.6. That's about a point higher than where he's at on PrizePicks at 26.5. So yeah, I don't hate that. I would probably say lean more toward more than less. Dillon Brooks was your other question. You got him at 21.5 PRA. Going up against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Dillon Brooks, not looking great here so far in his last 5 games. Just popping those last 5 open. Doesn't look too sexy, but let's look at him a little bit closer using props.cash. Getting 25% off your first month of props.cash. Down in the description below, I've left a link. Use promo code Curry to get that first month discount. All right, if you're not using props.cash yet, you should be for all your player prop needs. Taking a look at Dillon Brooks here this season at 21.5 PRA. He's kind of like, what, the third option behind behind Desmond Bane. He's covered this in 4 out of 9 games. Now, let's look a little closer here at the minutes here because I think he started the season, maybe he was injured or something. He's been dealing with nagging injuries for a period of time here. So his minutes are kind of all over the place. They sort of came up to right about 30 minutes per game at the end of October. Since the month of November, though, we've started to see his minutes take off a little bit. We're starting to see more minutes from Dillon Brooks here. When you start to see a pattern like that, an increase in playing time, an increase in minutes, this might be a time for us to get in on Dillon Brooks before the sports books catch up. As far as the matchup goes, Minnesota defensively not very good. 23rd in points allowed, 24th in rebounds allowed, 30th in assists allowed, and 22nd against opposing small forwards. So I know the hit rates don't look great here, and I know he is not the primary or secondary option. He's like the third option, right? but he looks like he's in a good spot as far as the minutes and stuff go. As far as how he did against Minnesota last season, he has played them 6 times from this season to last. No previous games from this season against Minnesota. So this will be the first time he faces the T-Wolves this season. But last season he was 3 for 6 against Minnesota. 3 for 6, 50% hit rate, average 21.3 PRA. I think there's better options. Don P, Mr. Everyday Fantasy. That's just the vibe that I'm getting. Now, I know you're probably going to play it anyway, at least in one slip, one entry, right? But I think with 8 games, 16 teams taking the floor tonight, there's probably better looks than this one. I don't think you have to go there or go here. But taking a look at the Timberwolves DVP, they're giving up about 25 points, 26 points, let's call it, 8 rebounds, and about 4 assists per game. So that's a healthy little 38 to 40 PRA to small forwards. Not impossible. I mean, if he ends up hitting, I won't be surprised. But let's look at the projection for him real quick. I got Brooks projected for 23.5 PRA. He's at 22.5 on some books, but most sites have him at 21.5. A little bit concerning here. We're seeing action coming in on the under at 21.5 on some of these books. So not feeling great about that, right? You see like Parks, Bet Rivers, Rivers Resort, some juice coming in on the under for Dylan Brooks at 21.5. So not my favorite. Out of the two, I probably like Aaron Gordon's fantasy score more. But there's just so many options tonight, my friend. I think you could do better than Dylan Brooks. All right, moving it along here. Got another super chat. I see that my man, Top 10 Highlights, has left a super chat. Appreciate the super chat. Thanks for the support. He's saying, I have $100 and I want to do a 2-pick power play. Is there 2 picks you absolutely love for just 2 picks? Well, I think that everybody who's watching would probably be in agreement that Devin Vassell for first half PRA, first half fantasy score looks like a solid option. If you've watched any Spurs games, if you've been following Devin Vassell, he's been balling. You could go just the points, but his fantasy score and his PRA have been the better looks. So I'd probably say go with one of those two. You could go with either one of those in a 2-pick power play. I think Devin Vassell at 14.5 PRA or Devin Vassell at 16.5 fantasy score. Both of these are solid options. Feel pretty confident in both of them. Like I said, no Giannis, no Drew Holiday, no Chris Middleton. Devin Vassell should have a pretty good game tonight. Especially once we saw what SGA did, right, against the Milwaukee Bucks in the last game. I think he's in a good spot. So I like that as one half of a potential 2-pick. Outside of that, like what else would you guys like? If you were to put in a 2-pick and help our friend out here, I mean, we talked about 4 picks, right? We talked about Jokic over 42.5 PRA, Curry over 40.5 PRA, Michael Porter Jr. over first half. So if you want your money quick, you could potentially pair up one of these Devin Vassell props with Michael Porter Jr. Go back to him. I mean, he's been hitting at a pretty high clip. Had a little bit of a down game in the last one, but you could go with his PRA. You could go with his fantasy score as well. I think they both have pretty much the same hit rates. But I think that's a solid option too. I'd probably go PRA, I guess, on him. But yeah, you could take one of these Devin Vassell props, maybe put it with the Michael Porter Jr. first half, go back to it since it flopped in the last game. I think maybe he gets back on track against Boston tonight. But yeah, I mean, I think those are both solid looks, solid options. Outside of that, I mean, I don't know, man. There's going to be more picks up on the board later. They haven't put everything up tonight, so we have kind of a limited board to look at right now. So, you could always hold your horses and wait for more of those props to hit the board later. But yeah, I think those are two, solid picks, solid as any. Jokic PRA. Yep, we talked about Jokic PRA. I like that one at 42.5 going up against Boston. Should be a competitive game. So there you go, man. I think both of those look pretty good. Top 10 highlights. Ricky Carroll says, I love CJ. Last year, the way he did it by category, I was cashing every month. What do you mean the way I did it by category? I don't know what that means. Some other options, Trey Jones over PRA. Caleb's liking that one. We'll just quickly run through those since we're running out of time here. Trey Jones got him projected for 24.2 PRA. He's at 22.5 on the books. Slight betting favorite on some of these sites, though, to go under 22.5 PRA. Chris Raptor saying he's liking some Julius Randle points. Randle's been balling, guys. Do I trust Julius Randle? Most nights, no. But yeah, Julius Randle's at 20.5, betting favorite to go over. 21.5, a betting favorite to go under. His projection tonight against the Pistons, 19.1 points. SGA assist or PRA? I'm kind of wanting to get off of SGA tonight in terms of points. I just feel like he's due for a bad game, especially against, a stout defensive team like the Toronto Raptors. I could see a situation where maybe SGA's dishing more than he is scoring. Let's get you a projection on Gilgeous-Alexander here at 5 assists. I got him at 5.4. He's at 5.5 on most books, but the Raptors could give SGA some problems tonight. I mean, he's played a lot too. SGA seems like he's played damn near every night, right? It's been every other night from the looks of it, but it seems like he's played almost every day, it feels like. November 1st, November 3rd, the 5th, 7th, 9th, now it's the 11th. So he's like playing every other day. This guy's got to get worn out at some point, right? He's got to get tired here at some point, right? He can't keep doing this 34, 37, 33, 39 point games, can he? Against Toronto? Let's look at something real quick. Gilgeous-Alexander, points versus Raptors logs. Ooh, well, that's kind of insightful, right? He's played the Toronto Raptors a total of 5 times in his career. He is 1 for 5 against Toronto. The last time that he hit for more than 28.5 points was way back in 2019 when he was with the Oklahoma City Thunder. One of the earlier games in his career with the Thunder, way back in 2019. So he played them last season, ended up playing 37 minutes, 26 points. Season before that, 38 minutes, 21 points. So yeah, man, I don't know if I'm back on SGA for his points tonight. As far as the assists go, he did drop 9 and 6 dimes in his last 2 meetings against the Raptors. So there's that. Maybe you take the assists at 5. I like that. I ain't mad at that. OG or Fred VanVleet fantasy score. Both of them have been super hot. I mean, both of them has been on it. I don't think there's a wrong way to go. I know OG fell flat 2 games ago, but Anunoby's fantasy score, where is he at today? 39.5. Yeah, I mean, 4 out of the last 5. He's been hitting it. He gets a lot of steals and blocks, which really helps OG out quite a bit. And then you got who? Fred VanVleet. Where's Fred at? Come on, buddy. Work with me, not against me. 44.5. Oh, man, it seems high, but he has been getting it done too. Yeah, without Pascal Siakam, gang, both of these guys have been smashing. So if you wanted to go more on Fred VanVleet and or OG Anunoby, I can't be too mad at you there. As far as the game total goes, we're looking at just 219. Ooh, that's kind of a low total. That's a low total. That's a little scary. If this game was more like 230 plus, I'd feel better about it. This makes me like SGA's under on his points even more, I think. Call it a hunch. Call it what you will, but I think SGA in a total of 219, playing as much as he has lately, I feel like there's going to be a letdown here for SGA soon. And it may be tonight against the Toronto Raptors. They're tough, y'all. They're a tough defensive team. But yeah, Fred VanVleet and OG Anunoby, man, that's just a lot of That's a lot of fantasy score to cover in a game with just a 219 point total. I'll make this easy. We'll just look at the projections on both. I got Fred VanVleet projected for 44 fantasy score versus 44.5 on PrizePicks. Not really seeing much of an edge there. Anunoby, 35.2 fantasy score. Good grief, that's a whole lot lower than where he's at 39.5. So I'd be careful with both of these guys. It's just not a very high total game. Now, lower total games typically mean fewer possessions. Fewer possessions mean less shots going up, less rebound opportunities, less assist opportunities. But I will give you this. Fred VanVleet and OG Anunoby are both guys who tend to rack up the stocks, the steals and blocks. So if they can continue to get turnovers, get some steals, get some blocks, then maybe that'll help bolster their fantasy score. But those are high numbers, man. I think we might be buying at the top of the market, so to speak. Right? We might be buying high here on both of these guys. I don't know. I'm going to leave that one alone. I think I'm going to leave both of them alone, to be honest with you. Yeah, V. Kyrie says VanVleet is matching up with Dort, and he hasn't hit against the Oklahoma City Thunder once. Good to know. Good to know. Hey, Ricky, why don't you send me a DM so that we could talk offline? I'm curious to know what you're talking about a little bit more. Find out what you mean about, how things were versus how things are now with the show. I'm always interested in hearing your feedback about how the show's going and stuff. I want to make this as, enjoyable, as good of an experience for everybody that views this as possible. All right, gang. With that being said, that's it for today. We're well over our 1 hour mark. Free giveaway, all right? We're giving away a free entry on PrizePicks to win $100. So how do you do this? Well, you have to make sure you're subscribed. You have to like today's live stream and then leave a comment once the replay goes up. Comment with your favorite pick of the day. You're automatically entered in to win a 2-pick risk-free entry, meaning it doesn't cost you anything. You get both picks right. You win $100 on PrizePicks. That's what you win for being subscribed, for liking, and for commenting your favorite pick on today's replay. All right, we got that going on. We got Flex Friday going on. Your first entry of $20 is risk-free on PrizePicks. We got Free Entry Friday going on. I'm giving away over 10 free entries to our Discord and Patreon members. If you haven't joined the Discord yet, link down in the description below. We've got a link for the Patreon as well. Everything that I got going on, links are down in the description below. And that's it, man. That's it. Good luck on all your entries today. Keep an eye on the injury news, and we'll find some value throughout the day. If you guys are in Discord and Patreon, well, you know the drill. We'll be talking props all day long. Until next time, peace.